Right, this is a synopsis of the Big Biller Summit 2010. It's the seminar with Gaynor Lowdnes, and she was talking about generations and how to communicate with different generations. Now, I've actually got the full transcript here. I've listened to it again. It's a whole hour. I've read the transcript. There's so much information. I really do urge you to ask me for a copy of the transcripted notes and listen to it again in detail. But these are the bullet points. Gaynor talks about 3 or probably 4 generations, and why it's so important to learn how to communicate differently to people that were born at different times. Now, the first one is the baby boomer period. Depending upon whether you're from Australia or America, the baby boomers ended in 1961 or 1964. I was born in 62, so I'm kind of on the cusp. But these are the people who like to pay off their houses. It was hopefully a job for life for them. It was about stability. These are very, very cautious people. The second generation we're going to talk about are Generation X. People that are probably born between 61 or 64 and 1976. They're the children of the 80s. It's Wall Street. People that wanted to move and develop and always wanted to think about developing in their career. They're interested in material things, very, very independent. These are the people that developed the concept of contracting in the recruitment sector. Then of course we've got Generation Y, the people that were born between 76 and 91. These are the people that they're really interested in work-life balance. They're focused on their needs. They're much more global than the baby boomers or Generation X. They're educated. They're used to moving from one job to the other with great regularity. These are the generation that communicate via text, Facebook, YouTube, and of course social media. Now, if you can understand how these different generations think, you can work out a process for how to communicate with them and perhaps how to take control. And if you read the transcript in detail, you will learn a lot about how Gaynor suggests that you actually do this. But essentially, when we're looking at the baby boomer generation, they're low tech. They're probably not on Facebook. They're probably not using LinkedIn. Generation X, of course, it's about what opportunities there are for them. They're interested in their title, their career progression. And of course, Generation Y, we know it's about their social connectivity. Does things feel right? What's the culture of the organisation? Generation X, they're not so concerned about the culture. It's whether they're going to get paid as much money as they can. So just start thinking about making sure that the conversations you have with these different demographic groups fit in with their needs. So communication is Gaynor's theme. The baby boomer, it's very formal. You address them Mr, Mrs, Sir or Madam. You need to be requested by them to ask whether you call them by their first name. Generation X, of course, it's the email generation. And you've got to try and link into what they are looking for. You've got to add value in the communication very early on, otherwise they'll just ignore you. And Generation Y, it's much more casual. You might meet them in the coffee shop. They're interested in social media. They're about developing relationships on the internet. So Gaynor's very keen on talking about how you might write and develop an advertising campaign. So the baby boomers, it's about information, it's detail, it's formal. The language, the culture of the organisation, it's about formality, stability, doing it the right way perhaps. Generation X, it's bullet points. Be clear, be concise. Make sure you're massaging their ego. They want to know what's in it for them. And the Generation Y grouping, when you're talking to them about an opportunity, you're probably not talking about bullet points, but you're painting a picture of the culture, the flavour. It might be about the green issues, the eco issues, maybe about travel within the organisation, what good works they do in the community, for example. Now, when you're making a headhunting call, of course advertising, we're waiting for people to apply to us, but with a proactive headhunting call, Gaynor suggests that you read Warren Kemp's book, and he's one of the most foremost experts in the UK on headhunting. And if you've got this skill in your recruitment toolbook, you're going to be way ahead of everybody else. But the bottom line is, if you haven't got that coming up, you're going to be missing out. We can't just afford to be reactive. Proactive headhunting is a crucial skill set for the recruiter. So for the baby boomers, of course, they hate change. You've got to develop your language with them so that it fits very, very clearly to make them feel comfortable, that the organisation they're going to be joining isn't going to go down the tubes, that it matches their values. And of course, Generation X loves to be headhunted. Their ego is stroked, it's massaged. They really enjoy the fact that you're after them, but be careful because that might cost you more money, because they'll want to know what extra's in it for them over and above what they're earning. The baby boomers, it's about respect. It's about tone of voice. It's about asking them if it's convenient to have a conversation. You might need to plan a call later on. You might need to arrange a time. Whereas Generation X, it's different. Once you've researched them, once you've let them know that you're interested in them for a specific reason, then they'll talk to you. And it might be there and then, so be ready to have that conversation immediately. Or they'll take their mobile phone and they'll go outside and talk to you from outside their main office. Now, Generation Y, again from a headhunting point of view, it's about how they relate to that organisation. Do they feel that it matches their social needs? Is the client company green enough for them? What's the culture? What's the environment? And probably meet for a coffee or a chat in Starbucks or one of the coffee houses, or maybe have maybe use Skype or one of the other methods to have that communication. They don't necessarily want to meet with you face to face immediately. You've got to build a bond with them. It's about the relationship, which is why Gaynor talks about Facebook and other social media as developing a relationship with the younger generation. And if we're not involved in these other methods of communicating, we're really missing out greatly. She urges us to do some research and learn a little bit about NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, because it's not so much just the message, it's about how you communicate the message, it's the words that you use. And again, you know, do get a copy of this because she goes into quite some detail. But again, it's the baby boomers, it's formality. Talk slowly, it's about dear sir or madam. Generation X, it's fast, it's quick. You've got to really grab their attention very, very quickly, otherwise they're off. And Generation Y, use the language that they're interested in. It's kind of the coffee bar language, it's animation if you like. So Gaynor talks about control, how to gain the trust and start to control the different generations. The baby boomer, you need to gain their trust first. Ask them what they are looking for and take them slowly to the process whereupon they're happy to engage with you and to meet. And they will want to actually come in, physically meet with you. That's how they develop trust. Generation X, they're always comparing jobs. For them, it's always about the next deal. Be careful for counter offers, because for them, they will often go where there's a little bit more money. Whereas the baby boomer, once they've decided to make a move, their word is their bond and they're committed and they will start moving. So Generation X, be very, very careful. They're not always that loyal. Always ask them, has anything changed since we last spoke? How much money would it take for you to actually make a move? And lastly, Generation Y. Now, this generation is always in the market. Always in the market to make a move. If it suits them, they're much more or less inclined to be concerned about raising deposits. So they're much more prepared to, let's say, save for money for 6 months and go off travelling. Now that's in our favour because we can always connect with these people wherever they are globally via Facebook. But at the same time, other people are going to be approaching these people as well. So you've got to be very careful. You probably won't be exclusive with them. So get on Facebook, get on LinkedIn. If you're not, well then you're missing out. And befriend them. Generation X really do want to stay in contact. They want to be your friend, and that's the way to develop the network. They're not going to be viewing you, the recruiter, as somebody they'll deal with on a short-term basis. It's long-term for them. It's all about them. It's about their networks. So there you go. That's my Précis tips on the Gaynor Lowdnes seminar. Hope you enjoyed that. I really do urge you, grab hold of the seminar notes. Have a good read. Good luck.